Now talking about actual car balance, and I want to dive into a lot of examples here per kind of each part of the corner, which we'll break up in a moment. But the standard definition of oversteer and understeer kind of goes with, I'm sure everyone knows what oversteer and understeer are, right? But understeer, we have more rear grip than we do front. Oversteer, we have more front grip than we do rear. So it's just the simple relationship of, as I turn the steering wheel, does the front continue to turn more, or does the front, do my front wheels actually, kind of hold me up on steering? The more I turn the wheel, does the car continue to turn with it? So it goes with this idea of, the way I like to phrase it is, if I were to steer more, what would the car do? Because that's in a lot of ways what we'll be doing to find car balance here. So if you add more steering input, is the car going to keep turning and almost turn more when you add more steering? So, kind of turning past the amount of wheel that you put into the car. Or if I keep adding wheel, does the car eventually get to some point where my tires are just turning and I'm pushing them across the road? So I'm just slipping the tires so much where we're understeering off. So obviously there's a big difference there. And it's kind of tricky to get on track and just put a ton of wheel into the corner because we're going to shock the tires and do some understeer. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend just turning the wheel a bunch and seeing what your car would do on track. But that's just the way I like to go about thinking of initial balance and having that understanding of what we're doing. So now with that, we have induced balance versus car balance. So induced balance is what I like to call, the driver making a change to their driving style that's going to change the car's balance in the first place. So that might be trailing in the brakes a bit more, right? We're going to induce more front weight transfer. So as we're decelerating, we're putting more weight on the front of the wheels. We're going to have more front grip, and we're going to be more inclined to oversteer. So we're going to be able to turn more. On one hand, it's a way to counter understeer, but on another, we're essentially inducing more front grip into the car under deceleration. Car balance is that inherent balance that's built into our vehicle. That's what we want to be tuning, and that's what we want to be identifying in a lot of these cases when it comes to setup. And then as for just building your knowledge base over time, as you get more and more comfortable with your car, as you maybe try some setup changes, you'll get a better idea of what those changes do and what they feel like. That's certainly, true for us at the pro level. We don't just wake up and think, okay, my car needs X, Y, Z. Anytime I hop into a new car, it's always a learning curve. I'm always trying to build up that base of, okay, what does this particular car need to go fast? And that may take a bit of time. When I hopped in from the GT4 cars to an LMP3 car, so going from GT cars to prototypes is a pretty significant step in speed and just feel behind the wheel. And so it took me, a good couple of days of testing to identify, okay, so we tried a couple setup changes. This is what they did. And it's a lot easier to compare, side by side, what one change feels like to the other, and identify what it did to, the mid corner, the entry, and the exit across the board when you have that comparison factor. So that certainly helps in building that knowledge base to begin with as well. And then once you have that set, you kind of take that with you to other tracks, and it just helps you build a bigger picture of what your car needs over time.